How's it going, people? Tectard Ted. Hey, how's it going? It is the 31st day of August. Wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. How's everybody doing? So I wasn't even going to make a video today. I had made up my mind I wasn't. I was just going to roll on into work and not think anything more about it. Well, something got to bugging me, folks. Apparently, some of my comments about Gorbachev has somehow been misconstrued as me supporting the Soviet regime. No, not at all. I did not support the Soviets. The Soviet Union is an interesting place in history for me. Let's not be mistaken. I served in the military that we trained to go to war with the Soviet Union. So what I was trying to do was show that the Russians, he was not universally loved. Gorbachev was not universally loved. And we have different attitudes about a lot of historical figures than people in this former Soviet spaces have. And I think I'd just like to take a couple minutes to explain the differences. In the West, Stalin is pretty much universally reviled. We don't like him. He was a bad guy, and he was, by everything I can tell. And everybody loves Gorbachev. In Russia, there are fanboys of Stalin. There are people that think Gorbachev is the worst thing ever. And I can explain this with one sentence. Everybody loves a winner. Everybody loves a winner. Stalin's regime, for the people of the Soviet Union, was a good time as far as esprit de corps. Now, the gulags and the repressions and everything, that wasn't good. But as far as a national image, the Soviet Union came out of World War II, one of the superpowers. You know, it's funny, we talk about the big three, Churchill, Roosevelt, and Stalin at the Yalta Conference. At the end of World War II, it became the big two, the two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. So the Soviets were elevated at that point. They were the winners. They were the winners. They could be proud, you know, and the pride went on that they put the first man into space in the 60s. But where we saw the cracks in the veneer that was Joseph Stalin, and they were mighty cracks they were, a lot of Russians look back on that and remember that as a good time for their country. You know, I always say when I see Russian folks that are carrying pictures of Stalin or being very pro-Stalinistic in demonstrations and stuff, you got two types of people there. You've either got young college punks, the same sort of folks we have, that have been fed a bunch of shit by their professors about what communism is, and they don't really understand it. And somehow they projected all this purity and goodness upon the cult of Joseph Stalin. The other people that you get are old folks, older than I, for the most part, although I do know one guy who's close to my age that is a Stalin fanboy. He and I have discussions on it. We disagree on that manner. Who's Russian. But the other folks you see are these old folks. And these old folks, you know, more than senior citizens, they remember their childhood. They remember when they were young. And they're looking back at the good old days through the lens of nostalgia. And they think of how much easier their life was when they were young. Well, I got news for you, folks. Everybody's life is easier when you're younger. You don't have the same aches and pains. It's even worse, I guess, if you're Russian or Soviet, you know, former Soviet. You're old, you have the aches and pains, and you've seen the ups and downs. You've seen from being on top, being a winner. And, you know, that's exemplified once again by the deal with Stalin. And then you see the decline. And the decline very many people will attribute to Gorbachev. Gorbachev was a communist, and he was an unrepentant communist. His problem was he messed around with the system, and then everything spiraled out of his control. You know, he may have been a great reformer. His reforms did not bring freedom to the Soviet people. His reforms caused a cascade effect that he couldn't control, and he rode the Soviet Union down in flames. Didn't have any other choice. He could have resigned, I guess. I mean, after all, they were trying to throw him out. But when he came back into power, the first coup was by the hardliners. The second coup, which we don't talk about, was orchestrated by Boris Yeltsin. Boris Yeltsin, who went out of his way after he got Gorbachev back, because he understood that Gorbachev was a weak leader. After he got Gorbachev back, the old drunk was able to go right for the throat and publicly humiliate Gorbachev and make him look even weaker. And there are a lot of things that Russians can deal with or tolerate. They won't tolerate weak leadership. Unlike this country, where we tolerate Joe Biden. You know, we absolutely tolerate Joe Biden. We tolerated Jimmy Carter. We tolerate weak leadership. The Russians won't. Absolutely, the Russians won't. And so I just thought I'd put that out there. I know this is a real quick video, but I just kind of wanted to, you know, expand on that. Gorbachev has a place in history, so does Joseph Stalin. But you always have to look at history through the prism of who is looking at it. In other words, in the West, we were glad the Soviet Union is gone. I'm glad the Soviet Union is gone. So Gorbachev is a great guy. Now, I'm also a realist, and I realize that Gorbachev kind of screwed up, and Gorbachev was still a communist, and I don't have use for communists. You know, I will tell you this much: I can respect a Russian communist more than I can an American communist, because there isn't anything quite as disgusting as a homegrown communist. And that's just the way I feel, and that's the way things are. So anyhow, folks, those are my thoughts about Gorbachev. I'm sure maybe there's a few of you folks out there that are surprised to think, with all the terrible things that happened, that somehow there would be people that like Stalin and don't like Gorbachev. But yeah, that's the way it is. I don't make it up, man. I just tell you how it is. And sometimes what I see is not what you see. And that's just the way world works. So anyhow, folks, I'll get back on Ukraine maybe tomorrow. Internet's been really bad for me today. I haven't even had a chance to check in and see whether the offensive in Kherson has picked up steam, or whether this offensive that everybody's claiming was supposed to, this big armored juggernaut of the Ukrainians, has hit the Izum region yet. I don't know any of that, dude. I'm going into work blind today. Like I said, I have no idea. You know, sometime tonight, hopefully I can pick up a little bit of information and bring you the stuff that you won't see on CNN, MSNBC, or even Fox, or any of the other fake news outlets. The propaganda that now masquerades as media in the United States, just for the simple reason that you're not supposed to know anything they don't want you to know. And so till next time, keep your your tinfoil hat tight, and just remember, conspiracy theory is just a trailer of what's actually going to happen. So talk to y'all later. Bye.